All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show. And of course, we just got back from our trip to spring training in Scottsdale, Arizona, courtesy of the New York Style Italian Sausage Company. And right away, we're running back, we're rolling it back right away with 49er news. And Mike McGlinchey is gone, guys. He is signed with the Denver Broncos. The Niners are officially in the market for a new starter at right tackle. This was a foregone conclusion. McGlinchey, he played. Niner fans won't agree with this, but this is the truth. Mike McGlinchey played really well with the 49ers. And this year, it's easy to point to different highlights, and he missed here. And look, he got thrown here, and Micah Parsons, had this play against him. And it's easy to point to individual plays on the offensive line. The reality is you don't grade out individual plays. You grade out the games. And Mike McGlinchey was damn good. So bring your hate elsewhere. But 5-year deal, $87.5 million is what McGlinchey is getting to jump to Denver. $50 million plus guaranteed. And McGlinchey was the Niners' first-round pick in 2018. Now, probably was a little bit of a reach. Why? Because they used a top 10 pick on a right tackle. He's not a left tackle. He's a right tackle. And he lacked a little power in the run game. He lacked a little speed in the pass pro game. He was a better run blocker than he was a pass protector, but he's just a solid guy. He was a solid leader on this team. Let's not pretend that Mike McGlinchey sucked. Mike McGlinchey sucked in the minds of people who are idiots. Mike McGlinchey was actually a pillar of strength in the Niner locker room. He was one of the leaders on the team. He was a spokesman for the team. He's one of the best run blocking tackles in the NFL. And he was a strong run blocker, really throughout. He did have his ups and downs as a pass protector. He lacks the incredible quickness to kick out so I think elite speed rushers have an advantage over McGlinchey, and it breaks his whole game down. That if you say what's at his core, what's the issue? That's the issue. Speed rushers can get the edge at will against McGlinchey, and when it happens, his whole game breaks down. He starts to kick out, false starts. He's susceptible to counters back inside. That's his weakness, and he knows it. He doesn't have elite reactions or elite quickness, so he needs to get out there on the quickest, fastest edge rushers in the game. And when he does, he can be clubbed in that inside shoulder and knocked off his feet. He lunges, he loses his base, he loses his power. So speed rushers bother Mike McGlinchey, and it breaks down the rest of his game. But as a run blocker, as a solid offensive lineman, the Broncos are getting an absolute rock solid guy. They're also getting a rock solid person. Last year 2 years ago, they took DJ Jones away from the Niners. And now they take McGlinchey away from the 49ers. And in both cases, they get two awesome people. I mean, two leaders in the room, two foundation pieces as people. So, but as far as inconsistency in pass protection, that's the reason the 49ers were not going to be willing to shell out monster money for a guy that they once picked 9th overall. So that's really it. It's Denver. It's interesting. Denver also signed Jarrett Stidham to a 2-year, $10 million deal. So, Sean Payton now has a quarterback to compete with Russell Wilson if Russell's still going to be there. And as far as where the Niners go, the Niners have signed up 2020 5th-round pick Colton McKivitz. He currently is the front runner to replace McGlinchey. He signed a 2-year extension. My guess, if you wanted to replace McGlinchey with a big time guy, you could go with Caleb McGarry, who played at UW and then played for the Atlanta Falcons the last few years. That would be my first choice. If I could make this, if the cap wasn't a total hindrance and it was all just about let's get a good football player, I could be happy with a Caleb McGarry at right tackle. My concern is in this market with as many teams that need a free agent offensive lineman, that there's no chance in hell they're going to be able to sign Caleb McGarry because McGarry is going to get paid similarly to what McGlinchey just got. So they're similar players. I think McGarry's a little bit more athletic. I think McGlinchey might be a little bit better run blocker, but they're comparable players. So I expect Caleb McGarry to get paid in free agency. So what are the Niners going to do? They could go with a cheaper free agent, or they could potentially go with a draft pick. And the guy that I really think is the guy that I like a lot in the draft is Alex Palszewski, who played right tackle for the Illini. And Palszewski is an interesting guy. I mean, he's I did a whole video on him the other day. I really like him. I mean, you're talking about a player who played, he wore 63. If you turn on the Illini film, he wears 63. And the NC2A granted Palszewski an extra year of eligibility. He's 6'6", 315 pounds. He did not allow a single sack all season playing in the Big Ten against some really, really good edge rushers. He had an 81.4 Pro Football Focus grade, which was 10th best among all offensive tackles in the country this year. He finished his career with 713 pass blocking snaps without allowing a sack. So this guy did an incredible job for the Illini, protecting for Tommy DeVito, opening run lanes for Chase Brown. You're not going to see this stat much, but Palszewski had 65 career starts because of that extra year of eligibility. And he was just a model of consistency. And what I really love about him, he is a good pass protector. Now, he could give you a little bit more in the run game, and he's a versatile player. He made 16 starts at right guard over his career. So you got a guy who's versatile. He's smart. He's tough. And he played hurt. And he's a really, really good pass protector. So that is what I'm looking for. I think Palszewski is going to be on the board in the 4th round. I might be tempted to take him with one of the late 3rd round picks, just because there's a need there for the 49ers. Of the offensive tackles, I think he's one of my favorites. He's not one of the highest rated tackles. Probably going to wind up going on day 3. But if I could get a Palszewski in the 5th round, I feel like I could almost plug and play him at right tackle coming out of the Big Ten. So really like that addition. Kind of understood that McGlinchey was going to move on. I thought he would be to Chicago. I thought the Notre Dame connection, the fact the Bears had $94 million in cap room, I thought for sure McGlinchey's going to wind up. McGlinchey's from back east, the New Jersey, Philly area. So I thought, man, he's going to want to be closer to home. He played at Notre Dame. It'll be a very popular move with the Bears fans. But instead, he winds up in Denver. So good pickup for the Broncos. It's a loss for the Niners in that they need a right tackle, and they don't, Jalen Moore, I don't know. I don't know if he can do it. Colton McKivitz every down, I don't know if he can do it. But if you have Jalen Moore, Colton McKivitz, and a Palszewski or somebody like that you get in the draft, that probably suffice as a good replacement for Mike McGlinchey. Do not forget, offensive line. I mean, the Niners won a Super Bowl with Dan Audick at guard. The 49ers almost went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with Brunskill and Compton on the right side of their offensive line. I'm not saying the offensive line doesn't matter. It does matter. Heck, the Eagles had a great offensive line. The Chiefs' offensive line played incredibly in the playoffs, and their interior is damn good. You need a good offensive line. I'm not saying you don't need a good offensive line, but it can come in different forms. And they don't necessarily need to have a blue chipper. They don't necessarily need to trade all their picks into the 1st round to get the highest rated tackle. Find a guy that you like, that CFO, Chris Forster, can coach up and go that direction. You got McKivitz, you got Jalen Moore. If you could add a 3rd guy in the draft or a lesser known free agent than Caleb McGarry, maybe you can make do at right tackle as you're bolstering yourself at defensive tackle, corner, safety, and several other spots on your team. So not a surprise that McGlinchey has moved on to Denver. I'll say this, while everybody else is going to rip McGlinchey, I like Mike McGlinchey. I think he's a damn good player. Mike, if you're watching this video, good luck in Denver, bro. And onward and upward for the 49ers. He was a good Niner, but he wasn't a great Niner. And I think they can replace him capably somewhere in this offseason, whether it be the draft or free agency. Hope you enjoyed the Pig in a Pickle Krueger Show 49er video. We were coming back from Scottsdale, courtesy of New York style Italian sausage. Thanks to all the people there as well. And we'll have more right here on the Krueger Show YouTube channel throughout the week on NFL free agency. And of course, a ton in the days and weeks and months ahead on the 2023 NFL draft.